FTMKickstart, my name's Billy. It's really cool to be given the opportunity to contribute some videos to this channel. Jack contacted me and asked me if I'd be able to be a contributor, and I'd really have liked to have been able to jump on board as like a regular contributor, but at the moment I am trying to make my own videos every now and again, and also I'm doing the It's Tea Time collab channel. So doing those two does tend to take up most of my spare time, my video making time. I'll put a link to my own channel, Billy Barnacle, and the It's Tea Time 2010 collab down there. So check those out if you want to learn anything about me and stuff that I've talked about before. But yeah, it's really cool because I think a channel like this needed to happen that was sort of aimed at guys who are about to start transition, or are considering whether they should transition or not. So it's great that there's this sort of open discussion forum for those kind of issues, and keeping in mind like people who are just starting out. So this week's topic is dysphoria. Which, the interesting thing that I've noticed about dysphoria is that it does sort of change over time. So something that you may have had particular struggle with in the beginning of transitioning may cease to be an issue, and other things that you never really saw as major sort of mental fixation points may start to be major points of dysphoria as you go forward in transition. I think it's really different for each person. Some people experience some forms of dysphoria, and others just don't. So I guess I'd say that commonly dysphoria is associated with those particular aspects of your physical body that you may feel are your tell, so to speak. The thing that may give you away as having a female history. So obviously, when you're just starting out or you're considering transition, you may be binding your chest, and often the dysphoria will be around your chest and around whether people can see that there's that you have stuff there, and whether it's giving you away. And then it can be something where you bind like every other day, and then suddenly you're binding every day, and then even when you're at home you feel uncomfortable being alone with yourself, naked, because it just doesn't fit with the way that your mind has progressed. So I think often it's like your mind progresses in terms of viewing yourself and accepting yourself and seeing yourself as a male, or masculine, and that your physical body doesn't catch up with your mind, so it's left behind, and there's this sort of vacuum, this dysphoria vacuum, where you feel like, but mentally I'm here and physically I'm still there. So whatever the physicality that's sort of keeping you back is the thing that you tend to obsess about and think about all the time. And I think it can lead to some self-harming kind of destructive behaviours in some people who may experience dysphoria around their chest. I think people have such a keen desperation to rid themselves often of their chest as soon as possible. I know that as soon as I started transition, I basically was planning my chest surgery immediately, and I had it within 4 months. And that was because the dysphoria had been so significant for over 4 years before I started testosterone. And so as soon as I knew that people would be viewing me more often as male, the idea of me having a chest there was just so incongruous with the rest of my body that it really bothered me. So and I can say that, the dysphoria around my chest obviously diminished once I had chest surgery. It was an incredible relief to be rid of that very, obsessive thought process around this chest, which, it's not even that, you don't even have to try obsessing about it, because you're wearing something so incredibly tight that you can feel it all day. And feeling that constant pressure on your chest is a constant reminder of this thing underneath, these things underneath that don't fit with your outward presentation, and you know, I think it can lead to various issues like sexually, with feeling confident in your body with a lover. You can feel like those really inhibit your ability to be naked with someone, and that can also, I think, increase over time. I know when I was younger, I was so detached from that area of my body that I didn't really even acknowledge its existence in a way. So I was able to be naked with people and just not focus on it and just assume that they sort of weren't either. And I think over time, though, as I grew up and started to take a bit more ownership and look at myself a little bit more closely, I realized that that was really abnormal to be so disassociated with an area of my body as I was, and that in some way, like, once I started to acknowledge that, it became very, very difficult for me to be fully naked with someone who I was intimate with. I think, though, once I'd had top surgery, that after a few months of just feeling the bliss of that, I sort of, you know, you can start to look at your chest as like, though it's not, you know, it's not as built as a male chest that you may aspire to. And I think often as trans guys, we look to these this kind of idyllic perception of male, kind of male hero, you know, the very traditional ideas about what a man looks like and how a man acts and how a man thinks, and, you know, that a man is like muscly and buff and tall and all of those sort of things. So those are the things that we hope, those are the kind of characteristics that we hope often to gain. So, you know, if our chest doesn't look like other guys' chests, and you're constantly evaluating yourself and looking at other men and seeing how you stand up and all of that type of thing, can be very distressing, because you can realize that, you know, that this and that isn't the same, and whatever. So I think in terms of combating that sort of dysphoric feeling and that kind of comparison, that you may start doing, is to kind of go, well, like, look around and really not just look at the tallest, most handsome, you know, built guy in the room, but look at the other guys and realize that there's a whole spectrum of men out there. There are men with big butts and, you know, with man boobs, and there are men with with like who are like 5 foot. There are men who are very tall, there are men who are very short, there are men who are fat and skinny, and there are like all types of men in the world, and there are men with a lot less definition than a lot of guys have. So than a lot of trans guys have. So, like, keep in mind that there's a variety of different men in the world, and that you don't have to be a specific type of guy. And also, you know, keep in mind that, you know, that it's also really positive, I find, for my dysphoria to exercise and work out. And I feel like, you know, I'm getting a little bit closer to something that I could feel comfortable in fully. Like I said, when after a couple of months of the bliss of the chest surgery wearing off, I also found that I started to feel a lot less happy with my lower part of my body downstairs. You know what I'm talking about. That area became a real sort of source of dysphoria for me. And again, previously I just avoided it. In some sense, I mean, I hadn't detached from it in the same way that I had with my chest, but I'd sort of felt like I think I placed a kind of different perception on that area so that I could get through things. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't dwell on the facts of the matter, I suppose. And I think, you know, increasingly when, you know, as a worrier myself, when you've got nothing, you know, when a certain worry goes, then there's always another one that pops up, and that was the new worry, you know. It was like, and also I think it's brought up when you're going to male bathrooms and you're using stalls or urinals or whatever, and you start like going, oh, but, you know, the sound of my pee is different to that guy, or I just wish I could pull out my dick and, you know, chuck a piss in the urinal, and I just wish that if I met a girl and things were going well, that we could just, you know, get straight to it right there, and I wouldn't have to like explain everything to her, and then, you know, go home and like find my tools and get them on and come out and like, what about spontaneity and all of those things, and you start to feel, you start to feel quite inadequate and quite shit about things. And I can admit to, having good and bad days when it comes to that. Days when I feel like that's really bothering me, and days when I'm like, it's not that bad. It'll be cool. You'll find someone who will understand and who will make you feel comfortable. I have met people who've made me feel comfortable and who have understood and perceived me in a way that made me feel hot and cool. And I think having experienced that, I know that it's out there, and so that's cool. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to share these dysphoric feelings with other guys, if you can, like talk to other guys about it, because there's something that's quite reassuring about knowing that other people struggle with similar things, and how do they deal with it? How do they cope with it? When it comes into their head, do they push it away straight away? Do they look on the positive side of what they have to offer? Do they look at other guys and see that there's such a variety of guys out there, and there are guys with small dicks and big dicks, and like that you don't have to be a specific kind of guy. So those are just some of the things that I do, and I really also would highlight the benefits of exercise and cardio and stuff to losing weight and actually building muscle and stuff like that will make you feel good about yourself. Despite how you appear to the world, it'll still just make you feel really good about yourself. So, best of luck to any other brothers out there experiencing dysphoria today.